And welcome in to the Varsity Voices podcast presented by C Spire, our overtime segment where it's time to make our picks for the best games of the week. And this time of year, it gets tougher and tougher. This segment brought to you by Fowler GMC and the drive to the championships. Fowler GMC in Pearl built the reputation on trust, serving Mississippi since 1953. And, well, it's hard to come up with 7 games to pick from this week, guys, because it is there are a lot of great games. And, of course, you know, we try to get one from each classification if we can, rather than doubling up on some of the other ones. But we do have a pretty good setup, I think, and we will get ready to roll. But we'll tell you that these picks are brought to you by Pine Straw of America. Keep your yard looking perfect all year long with Pine Straw America, experts in premium longleaf pine straw. You join the exclusive subscription program and enjoy fresh, flawless straw on schedule every season of Pine Straw of America, fresh year-round. 4.9 out of 5 reviews on Google. So first up, guys, let's go what I think's one of the best game in 1A this year. We're going to go with Simmons versus Nanawaya, and I guess that Brandon Davis is in the lead, so he gets to go first here. Brandon, what do you like in this one, Simmons or Nanawaya?
Well, I'm honored to be in the lead, gentlemen, and I knew that I am the best, and I will always be the best. And honored to be picking
I've been the best 2 years in a row, just so everybody knows.
Yeah, well, you're not this year.
We'll remind you of that when you're wearing that I Love Hot Dad shirt. So.
2 years in a row, I've won.
No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry getting this off track with the obvious of me being the best. But this 1A game, Simmons and Nanawaya, I believe I talked about it earlier in the week that this is kind of like talked a little earlier about this being kind of the city versus the country, the big town of Hollandale going over to the woods of Nanawaya and playing them. I like Nanawaya in this game. I do. I just think their style of football, the smash mouth type football, really carries them well. I could go either way, but for this game, I'm going to take Nanawaya to score the win over Simmons.
All right, shots. Blue Devils or Warriors?
The Devils. I like the defense, giving up, I think, 7 points a ball game. Their offense not putting up quite as much as Nanawaya, but not far off. And, you know, I've looked at their schedule. It's just as good. 10-0. That's the only worry is, you know, are they feeling a little too confident, right? Sometimes you need a loss to get your attention, but right now, the way this one looks, Nanawaya is a heck of a ball club, but I like Simmons in this ball game.
Yeah, this one's tough to call, but I'm with Davis on this one. I like Nanawaya. I think the Warriors, they got a little something in that game against Lumberton, had to reach down and, you know, kind of make a comeback. So they are able to do that. So now they got some, you know, swagger, some attitude, know that they can play. So I'm rolling with the Warriors. And now another great one in 2A, East Webster versus Charleston, the Wolverines and the Tigers. Brandon Davis, boy, another tough one. What do you like?
Tell you what, I picked against Ron Price's bunch one time, and I said I'd never do it again. If I was going to do it, this would be the game that I would do it. I love Don Taylor and the job that he's continuing to do up there at Charleston. That is a team with Devin Olive, Marcus Flowers. Shots talked about it earlier in the week. We've watched those kids grow up because they've been the constant in at the state title games. But I'm going to go with East Webster in this game. When you look at what East Webster's been able to do, they are super salty on defense. In the last, let me count this out, 1, 2, 3, 4. The last 6 games, 2 of those including playoffs, so the last 4 regular season games and then the 2 playoff games, guys, they've given up 0 points. 0. So they can handle about anything thrown at them. I really like the Wolverines, another great mascot named Breck. So give me East Webster this Friday night.
Shots, you like the Wolverines or the Tigers?
I love Charleston, man. I love that team. I've watched them, called their games in the state championships the last couple of years, doing the 2A matchup. But East Webster is just a different animal. A Wolverine is a different animal. I can't pick against them. Their defense has been outstanding. Charleston, they're scoring nicely. They're scoring the football at 40 points a ball game. It looks like East Webster right there with them, but it's the defense that separates these two. Charleston giving up about 19 points a ball game, and when you look at this East Webster team, they're giving up 7.5. So East Webster.
Yeah, hard to pick against Charleston. They've been to the championship 3 years in a row. But yeah, I'm sticking with you guys. I think East Webster, this is, sometimes you just see a team that comes out of, it's their year. I think it's East Webster's year. And let's jump down into 3A South and a great ball game. Raleigh taking on Union. We got the Lions versus the Yellow Jackets. Brandon, who you like?
Well, I'll tell you what, kudos to Jordan Rand and the job he's done over at Union this year. Undefeated team, giving up 13 points a ball game on defense. If you look at what they've been doing, their offensive production, they've scored 404 points. Doing the arithmetic, that's 34 points a ball game. So great job by what the Yellow Jackets have been able to do. But Ryan Higdon and Raleigh, we've talked about it, and people have been tired of me hearing me say it. The best team, or the only team that can beat Raleigh, is probably Raleigh. Ryan Higdon's a great ball coach. They're battle tested as well. The teams they've played: D'Iberville, Newton County, Taylorsville, Mize, Morton, and then a good run beating the PCS. PCS is such a good team, guys, down in Hattiesburg. So I'm taking Raleigh to beat Union, but this is going to be a great ball game.
Very close one. Jared Schatz, you and I, we both been high on Raleigh all season long, but are you taking them or the Yellow Jackets?
Yeah, Breck, I feel like we were kind of the ones at the beginning of the season said, watch out for Raleigh when we were doing our, preview show, and you can't jump off the train now. But I will say this, I'm going with Raleigh, but Union undefeated 12-0. And some of I'm trying to find a weakness in Raleigh. I'm like Davis. I don't know if there are many. Some of the things I've been reading is they're having some issues against the pass. They're having a rough time defending the pass, and I don't see enough here. I mean, passing yards per game for Union about 161 through the air. So it's not one of those where this is a team that's they're averaging over 200 yards on the ground. So the strength of Union is not really the weakness of Raleigh. So that's the biggest problem going into this ball game. So give me the Lions.
Out of all of our picks, this one was the most difficult for me to decide which one I was going with. Really like Union, obviously undefeated. Yellow Jackets, they've had a good schedule, had a close one against JDC, so they're battle tested. But I think I'm going with Raleigh. I think just a little bit too much there, and I'm sticking with my gut from the beginning of the year, Raleigh Lions. Hey, and 4A, this is what I know a little bit about, Corinth, however you say it.
Slugburger.
Yeah, we had Pat Crump on, and he said the same thing. Everybody up there calls it something different. But Corinth versus Kosciuszko in 4A. This game's going to be right here in Kosciuszko. So Brandon Davis, Warriors or Whippets?
I like them both. I do. To me, I think this is Kosciuszko's year. This is a team that is just a team of destiny. 519 points scored. Casey Orr's done a remarkable job against them. I think this is going to be their biggest challenge so far in the playoffs. Pat Crump and what Justin Dye and them have done up at Corinth with that bunch has been very impressive. Their losses on the season, that being Corinth, have come at the hands of New Hope and then also Pontotoc, both playoff teams. So this is a 9-2 Corinth team, but they have to travel down to Attala County. So I'm going to have to give the nod over to Kosciuszko, but the Whippets, man, just too good. And who's my favorite player, Breck?
Jackson Schuler got a touchdown.
Jackson Schuler, the man, the myth, the legend, Jackson Schuler. I think he has a big game for Kosciuszko, and the Whippets are going to advance.
He got a touchdown run last week. They used him a little bit more in the pass game, too, little short routes. So they did good there. But, Jared, what are you looking at? Warriors or Whippets?
I'm going to go with the Whippets, and I think the best thing that could have happened to Kosciuszko for this game is Corinth getting an upset over Senatobia to make sure they don't take them lightly. I think that's big going into this ball game. That's a big win for Corinth to beat a really good Senatobia team. I just think the Whippets, man, with Wade and Schuler and that offense, it's clicking. And then, like you said, Breck, you know them better than anybody. That defense is good. They've got an all-around complete team. And, the only loss they have was that tough one to Louisville. So, they're on a mission, man. They want to avenge that loss. But I think Corinth will have their full attention after coming off that big win against Senatobia.
Yeah, and not just winning against Senatobia, shutting them out. 0 points. Senatobia is one of those offenses that was just rolling with D. Watson, all throughout the year. But Corinth getting a 14-0 win in that one. I was surprised. I wasn't surprised that Corinth won. I was surprised that it was a shutout. But yeah, I'm gonna roll with the Whippets. Their defense, as I said earlier in the week, everybody's talking about Caden Wade and the offense, which is scored more points than any other team in program history and still doing that. But it's the defense. I mean, defense shut down Rosa Fort's 2 guys, shut down Xavier Waters there at Itawamba. And so those guys are just all over the place. Had 2 interceptions last week in the ball game against Itawamba. And I think they had 4 sacks in the ball game as well, so they're able to get some pressure. That 3-3-5, the old making Jolie Dunn proud. That 3-3-5. So I'm gonna stick with the Whippets. And now we'll look in 5A. We'll have a rematch. We've already seen this one this year. Holmes County Central and Cleveland Central. Earlier in the year, Cleveland Central got the win, but anything can happen in the playoffs. So what do you like in this one? The Central boys from Holmes or the ones from Cleveland? Brandon Davis.
Yeah, Breck, you made a good point. Cleveland Central did get the win in the season. It was October 9th they played, and they put Holmes County in a little bit of a slump. They lost to Cleveland Central by 14. Then the next week they lost to Lanier. But after that, Marcus Rogers' bunch has really opened it up, beating Provine, Vicksburg, Florence, and then taking care of New Hope. That was a tough game last week against New Hope. I just don't think people realize how good Alan Glenn's team is. They're kind of overlooked because they have to deal with you got West Point up there with them. But I think Holmes has more talent top to bottom. This is Marcus Rogers. Shots, I believe you said that he is retiring after this, so they want to send him out on a high note. And I just think there's too much talent on this Holmes Central team, and they have played a very good schedule. So give me Holmes County to go up to Cleveland and upset the Cleveland Central.
All right, Shots. You like the Jaguars or the Wolves?
Man, I have not made my decision. I'm sitting here going back and forth, and Holmes County has all the talent. Marcus Rogers is leaving, but they've had some questionable moments at times, and their defense is giving up some yards. They've given up some points. Now, offensively, they've been pretty dang good. Almost 500 points they have scored on the season. That's about 39 points a game. Cleveland Central only averaging about 32 a contest, but their defense is superior compared to Holmes County. So this game's at Holmes County. You look at Holmes County, they are 5-2 away. The Wolves are 4-1 at home. This one is going to be a dandy.
The game's in Cleveland.
So 4-1 at home for Cleveland, and then Holmes County 5-2 away. Yeah, so man, give me Holmes County. I was about to pull the trigger on Cleveland Central. It's hard to beat a team twice, and with Marcus Rogers leaving, I think this team will go in on a mission and pull out a squeaker.
Okay, so that's 2 for the Jaguars. I'm going opposite. I'm thinking Cleveland Central. I like that squad, and I think they're going to be able to at home up there in Bolivar County. I think they're going to be able to defend their home turf and get the win. Now we'll look at 6A. Lake Cormorant versus Warren Central. The Gators versus the Vikings. A big one there in 6A North. And Brandon Davis, we get your thoughts on this one.
Going up against one of the leading rushers in the state, Tylen Matthews from Lake Cormorant, 2,243 yards and 31 touchdowns. Josh Morgan is licking his chops because he loves these type of challenges where you're taking on a team that does one thing well, and that's what Lake Cormorant does well. They're not very balanced on offense. I will give them credit. They have scored. What is the number? Let me find that very quickly. They have scored 340 points this season on offense. They're 9-2. When you look at Warren Central has actually scored more, 357 points on offense this year. Josh Morgan, I think, is going to take care of this issue. And Warren Central's defense giving up about 11 points a ball game, quietly one of the better defenses in the state. They're going to have a full week to prepare for this, shutting down this rushing attack. The D-line has been remarkable lately. I hate picking Warren Central just because it normally comes back to bite me, but this is another team like Kosciuszko, I think a team of destiny. I'm taking Warren Central to win big this Friday night against Lake Cormorant.
All right, shots, Gators or Vikings?
Going with the Vikes, man. I'm with Davis. I've seen that program. I've seen Josh Morgan. One of my favorite things to do when I would get to the stadium before we would call a game is watch Josh Morgan, and he would get his chair out and he would sit in the end zone and go over his signals and calls with his defenses before the ball game. And it was just so much fun to watch because he's such a defensive-minded coach. And I told Davis, I said, with his son obviously running the offense and Nash Morgan, it was like, look, man, he's going to get better. If this defense, which usually is the strength of Warren Central every year, if this defense can catch up with the offense, watch out. Well, they have. And that's dangerous for Lake Cormorant. It's dangerous for all of 6A. Lake Cormorant is one-dimensional. They're a very good one-dimensional, but they're one-dimensional. And when you give you give Josh Morgan time to hammer this out and figure it out, good luck, man. That's all I'm going to say. So I'm going with Warren Central.
Yeah, I think just a little bit too much firepower for the Vikings there for Lake Cormorant. So I'm picking Warren Central in this one. And now 7A, big one, Germantown and Tupelo. The Mavericks going on the road up to that portion, northeast portion of the state, and trying to knock off the number 2 team in the state. Brandon Davis, is it Mavericks or is it the Golden Wave?
I want to pick Germantown so bad. I do, because I've seen them in person this year play Warren Central. Warren Central went up on them 28-0, and we had to put 50 points on the board to beat them because they fought back. And we saw what they did last week to DeSoto Central, putting up 70 points on DeSoto Central. But the problem that I have with Germantown is their defense. Their defense has not caught up with their offense. They allowed 42 points last week against DeSoto Central. I just think that it being at home, if it's a neutral site, I might give the nod to Germantown, but it being at Tupelo, a tough place to play, they have to travel up there. I'm going to give it to Tupelo in a closer than expected game.
Okay, so he's going with the Golden Wave. Jared Schatz, what do you think about your Mavericks taking on Tupelo?
Guys, this offense can compete with anybody in the state of Mississippi. I mean, they almost put up 700 yards on DeSoto Central. They put a 70 spot on the board. They have 2 of the best running backs in the state as far as Nye Johnson and Lawson Branson. Now, they're not Kylan Bobo, and they're obviously not J.J. Hill, but they're great complementary backs. They've played a lot of football together. They've got Keyshawn Coleman on the outside and King White throwing and running the football at a high clip right now. But Brandon nailed it. This Germantown defense will have to play the game of their life on Friday night to stop this rushing attack of Tupelo. I know Tupelo's they've got some dogs on the defensive side too. So they're not, look, Germantown's not going to have half the production they had last week. They're just not. Too good. Ty Harden and his bunch, they're a hard-nosed, blue-collar football team. But I'm taking the Mavs, man. I think the Mavs will find a way offensively to put up enough on the scoreboard. Defensively, it will have to be a collective, man. They will have to run to the football, and they cannot miss tackles. Do I have anything to go off of as far as them stopping the run to win the game? Not really. They haven't. They've been up and down in that category. Warren Central last week against DeSoto Central. Madison Central had some big runs against them. It will take an all-out effort, but if they can get this offense going, and really nobody's been able to stop them lately, then maybe they can jump out ahead and then make a Tupelo team that's not used to playing catch up. That's I think their recipe to win this game is get that high octane offense going, maybe get up a score or two. Who knows? Maybe a turnover. Anything can happen. That's the recipe to beating Tupelo. But give me the Mavs.
Mavericks versus the Gold Wave, and another one that I came close to picking Germantown, but I think I'm going to have to go with Tupelo, but I definitely wouldn't be shocked if Germantown's able to go up there and win like a 51-50 type ball game, a big high scoring affair, but I think I'm just going to roll with Tupelo in this one. So those are our picks brought to you by Pine Straw of America, and a lot of great games this week. And then next week, guys, I guess we'll be picking 14. We'll be picking every North and South State ball game next week. So that's always a fun one there. And who knows who we'll have as our guest picker. Big thank you to Charles Edmonds, the voice of the All-Cord State Braves. He was our guest picker this week, and so we're excited about all the great ball games this week, and we appreciate you for tuning in, whether you're on YouTube or whether you're on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Make sure you like and subscribe on whichever platform you like, or all three if you want to. And remember, you need to subscribe to YouTube, because on this YouTube channel here in a few weeks, we're going to have the radio broadcast of the state championship games. And on this YouTube channel, you'll be able to see the in-booth camera, the play-by-play from us, spotter, play-by-play, color, whoever walks through and knocks over a water bottle, or whoever walks over and gives somebody eats pizza right in front of their face while they're on the air and they can't do anything.
And one really mad engineer. He makes the whole show.
Very mad.
So yeah, it is definitely entertaining. And go ahead and hit that.
Can I point something out? I'm glad you are bringing this up for people to subscribe to this, because friendships have been made on this YouTube channel. And I mean, it's been entertaining, but we have brought people together. This is an awesome thing.
Yeah, and I'll say this: if you've enjoyed this content that this team has worked so hard to put out all year long, really, the way we keep this going is liking, sharing, and subscribing, and that's the way we can share. There's still a lot of people that don't even know this is out there, so it's going to take your help to share that with everybody. And look, that's how we make this happen. We get the viewers, and we go to the partners, and they say, look, we want our name on that. And the last thing you can do is go support these great partners that make this thing possible. But we'll have it each and every year as long as we can basically show that, hey, people like this stuff. So we really appreciate everybody tuning in and sharing that.
Yeah, and remember what we said in our last episode. Next week, and moving forward, things might be a little different because it comes on Thanksgiving week, and then the North and South State championships, things can be just a little bit hectic. So make sure you watch our social media channels, whether or not you get 5 episodes a week, or you just get one big episode, or you get the one live episode that we may end up doing. So as I said, going forward, things might be a little bit different, but just keep your eyes on State Championships Radio Network on Facebook, and on the State Champ Radio on X. And so for our entire crew, that's our show for today and for this week. So for Brandon Davis, Jared Schatz, I'm Breck Riley, signing off here on the Varsity Voices podcast, presented by C Spire.
Genuine Mississippi, grown and raised and crafted, made. Genuine Mississippi.